Today is January 27th, 2020. Yesterday was a day of self-reflection for almost the world, in a sense. Passing of Kobe Bryant, almost like it's mind-blowing, And as devastating as the news is, still is, you kind of sit back and reflect. We live in a day where we plan, and there's nothing wrong with planning. We live in a day where we want more materialistic stuff, more stuff to build up our status and maybe have people notice us and be accomplished. But the question that I have is, are you prepared? Which is a very uncomfortable question, because we have this thing where we feel like death, we know is going to happen to us. But we just have this notion that as long as I stay healthy, I'll live as long as my body will allow me to. But because it comes in so many different forms, I'm talking about a guy that had no physical issues, none of the people on board were physically ill, and we can only think of the what if. But the question I have to a lot of believers, especially people who know what they're going to do tomorrow, are you prepared to die? I'm reminded back last year in February, I was on my way back from a business conference, and it was a very, very windy day. We were flying in wind, which is very dangerous. Almost as dangerous as fog, if not more dangerous than fog, because you have no control, even if your plane had no fire or anything like that. And the plane was about maybe 5 inches from the runway as we was already about to land back home. And immediately, just in a blink of an eye, it shot right back in the air. It was scary. I kept it under control, but I didn't know what was happening. But what I did know while I was on that plane is that my mother was waiting for me. My aunts and family that was waiting to welcome me back home. But they didn't know at the time that we were in a bit of a pinch, touch and go situation, because an airplane has to take off at a certain speed to actually be successful in the air. And the pilot said nothing, but he had to make a decision whether he was going to crash into other planes or go into a building or take off in the air. And then he didn't know if he would be successful, and he was trying to speed up. The aircraft was shaking ridiculously. I'm really surprised that the oxygen mask didn't come down, but people were scared, they were crying, and I was sitting on this plane and just trying to hold it together, just trying not to let my mind slip into a panic. And as I got off that plane, I was just reflecting how fragile life is. This is not a scare tactic, guys, because some of you guys feel that, since somebody died, that, all of a sudden, you need to be scared. No, you need to be aware, and this is the truth. Because we have these ideas that nothing can happen to us as long as we stay in the house, or nothing can happen to us as long as we stay healthy, but we still not immune to what's to come. And the question to my believers, to the believers all around the world and who will be watching this video, are you prepared to die? I dealt with it with coworkers. I dealt with it with family, where you can see someone and say, I will see you later, and that was the last time you actually see me. In scripture, I'm reminded in John 14:6, when Mary and Martha lost their brother. After telling God in the flesh that something was wrong and he needed to come, and God waited. I'm reminded in scripture not just how fragile life is, but how important it is to know God. And I know this sounds like, oh, well, you're just doing a fit. I'm not trying to, do anything fearful. I'm trying to just bring some light to the believers of today. If you're not a believer, I don't expect you to believe this. And it's not the point of whether Kobe Bryant was saved. It's just the fact that he had plans where he was going. And a lot of us have plans. Like, I know basically, for the most part, what I will do tomorrow, and so on and so forth. I know kind of how my day is going to be. I mean, there's always interruptions, but you basically know the gist of what it is you have to do tomorrow. I mean, you're going to wake up, you're going to bathe, things of that nature. But the scriptures in these type of tragedies and times remind us on how good God is. I'm not saying that the tragedy that happened, because I struggle with it, and I actually prayed about it. I said, God, you make it hard to believe in you. You make it hard to, keep on or even witness a person when something like this happens. Not that God is the cause of a helicopter crash, but why did it have to happen like that? What was comforting in scripture, because I'm a believer that believes we never die. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and when we die, our spirits go somewhere. It's not just a body situation, it's a spiritual thing. With me, I believe that way. So what Jesus said is so comforting, even in our worst tragic events in our lifetimes. And Mary asked me, Lord, if you would have been there, my brother wouldn't have died. And that's what a lot of people are asking about this tragedy, or about tragedies that's happened in their family. God, if you would have been there, this wouldn't have happened. And Jesus said to Lazarus' sister, he said, he will rise again. And she said, I know he will rise again in the last day, in the resurrection, when you come back for your people. But he said, no, I am the way. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Even when you pass by this life, I still control the next life. And that is so extremely comforting, because you know that whoever your relatives are, whoever passed away, whatever tragic situation had happened to you, the next life is covered. Not saying that you don't hurt, not saying that you don't fall apart sometimes, or come to tears and reminisce on what would have been or what was, but the comfort in knowing that God has taken care of death, hell, and the grave. But are you prepared to die? Let me just show you this one thing in scripture for people who are planners. It's not to discourage any planners, but it's just basically to make people aware to put God in their plans. I'm going to go to one scripture. Check this out. And he told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, what should I do? I have no place to store my crops. Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store my surplus grains. And I say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy. Eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you prepared for yourself?" There's nothing wrong with planning and helping other people and plan to help people and plan to even help yourself at certain times, in your lifetime. But the greatest plan is to know God. Just in case, and at all times, His plan will surpass yours. I had plans with people I was dealing with before I became Christian, and God just interrupted all of that, to where my life was never the same. The people that I used to be cool with, I'm not because of any type of argument or anything like that, but my spirit changed once I got to know God. And light and dark couldn't dwell in the same place. Not that they're bad people, but it's just a difference. God will change your life. Interruptions. How many of you guys have been doing things and got a call, somebody passed away? Change your whole plan. But there's going to be a time where your soul will be required of you. And death has no discrimination. It doesn't care where you're going. It doesn't care who you're with. It doesn't care what day of the week it is. It doesn't care if it's your birthday. Are you prepared to go? Get to know God. Because as prominent as Kobe was, as legendary as everything he was, God is the only one that has control in his next life. The billionaire friends he has can't revive him. Can't revive his daughter. God is the only one at this point that's in control. We have control, a good 10% of it. Most of it is based on our choices, but we can't control our consequences. And I'm not saying that he did anything wrong. It was just, I can't even say his time. It's just such a baffling feeling in knowing that he had somewhere to go. Positively, like he wasn't doing anything bad or negative, but that day was, and the people on board was their day. I can't understand why. I can't make up a reason why. But this video wasn't even about deep diving into what happened and why it happened. It was the fact that it came so abruptly. And I just really want to know, as believers, are you ready? See you next video.
If I could turn back the hands of time, turn it back and make you change your mind. If I could turn back the hands of time.